Hey there, we're talking about AutoIT and how to loop and how to control and if-thens and else's and all that. Let's talk about it. Hey, this is Tom of Tom's Tech Show, and I had kind of a request about doing some more things on AutoIT. And AutoIT is really, I mean, it's Windows based. So if you have an environment where you're all Windows and you need to do some specific things, like I set up one where it would check to see anytime anybody logged in, it would check to see if a certain file exists. If that file exists, it would bring it up on the screen so that we could send, messages to the users and different things like that, give them more information about things going on the network, maintenance, different things like that. We could also go out and grab uh, information about computers and things like that when we're doing inventory and things like that. So you can do a lot of things like that. And just to kind of get started, I mean, each language that you learn has some basic control structures. You have to do, if a condition, loop until condition, if the condition is this or that. So let's start looking at it now. All right. So here we go. So the first one is going to be a for loop. So for loops are pretty straightforward. You start with for, and then we're doing the condition for q equals 3 to 1. So you could do it. Q equals 1 to 10 or whatever your condition is that you need to run, right? And then you do a step. You can do step -1, step -2, depending on how many, or step 2 if you want to do every other number. And then at the end down here, you do a next. So it's for and next, and everything inside of that is going to we're going to run that. Okay, so let's close up some of these here. See, so we got for and then next. Okay. So then if statements are, you notice there's no parentheses. You can put parentheses, but you don't need them. So an if statement, so we have an if here. If this condition is true, then run the first set of code. Else, if that condition was not true, then we're going to run this bottom set of code, and then we're going to finish it with an end if, all one word. So pretty straightforward, but they use the equal sign like PowerShell. It uses a -eq, or some more JavaScript types of things use like 2 equal signs to do equals or equals less than, combine them together. This one is just one equal sign. Okay, so the next thing here is a do loop. So the do loop, you're going to run all this code until, so it's a do until. So we're going to do all the code in here until this I value equals 9, or whatever your value is. So your test for the condition is at the end. So this creates a condition where the code that is in there will run at least once. So you're doing the test after the code is run. So that's the do until. Okay, so there's also down here a while. So while a certain condition, then do this code inside, and then end. So this, you could have a condition where you don't run the code at all, right? I mean, if I set I equal to 11 and come here to this while, then this code is not going to run, right? So this is a pre-check loop, where the do is a post-check loop, okay? So we got both of those, and it's pretty easy. You just put out what your condition is and then put when at the end. There's also exit, I think it's exit loop, which any of these things, if you want to force an exit or jump out of a loop, you can put exit loop. Okay, so now we also have select. So this is a select statement. So we start with select and we end with end select. So coming down here, if the value is 1, in this case, then we're going to do a message box. If the value is 5, then do a different message box. So the thing that you can do with this on a select is have different values. Like this could be if q equals 5. So we can test on different values when we're doing a select. So we can go through different scenarios. If you have a certain set of parameters that run certain code and a different set of parameters that run different code, then you can use a select statement and run those differently. And if nothing matches, then you get the else on the select. So then end select at the end. Now the other one here is switch. Now switch is only based on one variable, but you can specify ranges in that variable. So here case, it's equal to 1 to 3, or I think this is supposed to be just 9 to 17, or else. So we could do, you can specify different ranges here. If you could put case 1, case it equals 1 if you wanted. You don't have to have a range. Then do a certain function, or if it's between specific ranges, then do a function, or if it equals certain text or anything like that. And of course they always have an else if nothing matches, and then an end switch. So this kind of basic control functions that we see throughout AutoIT works pretty well. I mean, I can run this, tools, go, and it's going to bring up compile it. I've got an error somewhere, so I'll have to check that. I don't know what I left out. System modal. I have that. Oh, I put a little, whoops. I typoed. There we go. That's gonna, now we're gonna run it. Okay, go. That looks good. Okay, so it's just gonna flip through these windows, and that's all it's doing in the center of the screen. It's just showing that, okay, that's the switch statement, and it's running through the switch statements, and they hit a 9, and switch hits a 10. Now we're in the while statement. We're back to the select statement, stuff like that. So it just kind of bumps through all these different things, because you can have the, after the message window, you can have it be a timeout after 1 second. So that's what I'm doing, just letting it kind of run through. So you can do that if you want to display a window for a certain amount of time. You can say display this for 30 seconds and then go away. So now we're back in the while loop. Okay, now we're done. So there we go. So that kind of run, that's this kind of junk garbagey code, just to show examples of structure. What we can also do, if you go to the examples, if you go file, we're going to go open and go to C program files x86 AutoIT examples. There's a whole ton of examples and stuff that are in here. So if you go to the GUI advanced, there's tons and tons of different examples here. So this one is just a whole ton of controls. These are all the different controls that you could use. And so we've got, you know, tabs here. You've got a combination box. You got scroll up and down numbers. You got sliders that you could use. There's progress bars, little edits. I could pull down date calendar thing for selecting, sample buttons, your check boxes, tree views for different information. I mean, all these different controls that you can use to get and capture information. You can create a full menus tree here for creating menus and submenus, different things like that. So, and those, you know, fire whatever function that you want to put in there. So that's pretty cool. All the different interfaces and things that you can present to your user. Also, if you look at the message box wizard, now this one actually helps you create a message box. So this is, we'll create a warning message box that says don't click this, and then we're going to say, you know, with my lazy finger. Okay, so there's, you can have it display a warning icon, informational icon, critical icon. We'll leave it on the critical. So you can have it be how the window will look, application style, system modal, or task modal. And you can play with some of these, say right justified or top justified. What buttons you want. You want OK, cancel, yes, no, cancel, abort, retry, ignore, all these different buttons. Default button being the first button, and you can give it a timeout. So if I click preview, then it gives me this window. So I get I had yes, no, cancel. That's yes, no, cancel. And it's critical, so that shows that X, and it shows the title as warning, and then don't click this. And that gives me the information. Now, the nice thing is, with this message box wizard, if I click copy right there, and then create a new file, that copies that code, so I can quickly create message boxes to send to users. So it's pretty cool that you can use the program to create code from the examples. All right, well, that's kind of a small introduction into some of the demo things and just the examples. Definitely get into the examples. It's not going to run on Linux or Mac, so you're going to be stuck in a Windows environment. But if you're in a business environment and you've got a lot of PCs that you want to get information, send information, do different functions, if you need something just to run, I need to see who has this program installed because we're being audited and for licensing. So you can have it go and just quickly grab and see if a certain executable file is on a computer, and when they log in, it'll you can have it start appending to a file, and it'll tell you all the computers that have that file, that program loaded. There's other auditing tools that you can do to scavenge your network to see what software's there, but this one's would be pretty easy to do if you don't have a big, huge, expensive system that's going to go and do a complete inventory of your software on your network. So do different things with different functions. This is definitely, once you get an idea of what you want to do, if it's in Windows, you can probably do it with AutoIT. All right. Well, thanks for watching this. Remember to like and share and subscribe all of your smaller YouTube channels, because we all appreciate it. That's how we all stay here on YouTube and other services. So thanks for watching. Take care.